Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's Live Bold and Boss Up episode. This week, Steph and I decided to talk about all the crazy malfunctions and blunders that candidates do in an interview that have actually happened because we were going through everyone's questions, going through the other questions we didn't answer from the last podcast episode. And we realized maybe it's better to talk about the mishaps so that you can really see what we're talking about and why you need to do what we say to do or not to do what we say don't do, right?
Right. No, and there's some crazy things that you would think are common sense, but they really happen.
These are crazy. You guys, we wrote down like top 10 things that have happened in an interview that we now, since we've been in the industry for over 15 years, we think like it's common knowledge that you shouldn't do it, but new people coming into the job market with COVID year, like everything's changed. So we're here just to remind you and maybe have some fun with it.
Right.
Hopefully you'll laugh at these.
So I think that the first thing that we hear most commonly right now during this whole, you know, video interview era that we're in right now is the video interview malfunction. Like, how many times do you think your video's on, or you think you're not muted but you're muted, and there's just a lot of little glitches in the whole video interview. So first of all, let's address that.
Yes, please. Like, okay, so if your video is supposed to be on and you're not sure, or maybe you just want to double check, normally you should see yourself. Ask them in the beginning when you're just starting that small talk. Ask them if they can see you, make sure it's on, or if it's supposed to be off, please make sure it's off. There.
I actually just had an interview yesterday that um I just had an interview yesterday. I don't know what
What
that
was that?
was. Where the guy was in a Zoom interview, and he they could see that he was on, but they couldn't see him or hear him. So obviously a couple things there. He didn't get on a couple minutes early and test the audio, which there is a little button that you can test the audio and test the video to make sure it's working. So I think it's very imperative to log in a couple minutes early, make sure that your computer's working properly, your Zoom or Teams, whatever system they're using, is working properly, and you know how to do it. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah. And if you're going to be on video, make sure I would just wear pants. Like, make sure you wear pants. It
Please wear
please
pants.
wear pants, wear something below your waist. There's just been so many things that have happened where you're like, oh, let me get that real quick, and you forget that you're professional from the waist up and not the waist down.
Mhm.
Or be careful where your video starts and stops, right on the edges, because there's been some mishaps before where people have joined the video and not knowing that they've joined this video interview.
Right. Or you have something that's inappropriate, like kind of in the background or on the side that is shouldn't be seen, but it's still there. So just make sure what's in the camera, what's in the line of view, make sure everything's working properly, and make sure your computer's charged or your phone is charged, whatever you need to be using. Make sure you have enough battery there because you don't want that dying right in the middle of an interview.
Right. So the second thing is, because we're moving back to um, in office, we're doing a lot of in person interviews for the final interviews now. So you're going back in person, and just make sure that when you leave, your whole entire self leaves, including your smell. There are times where candidates have too much cologne on
Mhm.
and they're gone, but the hiring team still thinks you're there because they can smell you.
Yeah, I think too, like we haven't, I mean, now we're starting to get in person again. So we're not used to like getting dressed every day, and especially in business professional attire. Be aware of the cologne smell. Also, make sure you are showered and that your clothes are clean, and that
Right?
smell
That's
too.
the other yeah,
Yeah.
the other end too. There's definitely been times where um you have to tell them to shower. Oh, it's so
unfortunately.
embarrassing to say out loud.
I know, because that's kind of common sense. Also, don't smoke right before your interview where you're walking in and you like leave a puff of like a cloud of smoke behind you, because that is disgusting too.
Yep. You can smell it. Even when you spray over it, you can still smell. It's very distinctive.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, don't do it.
What's the next one?
Next one, inappropriate dress. So
I love this story.
I do too. So one of my favorite stories. So this actually happened to me. So a candidate that I was prepping on the phone told her to wear a suit. And so, I felt like I didn't need to clarify what that was. And so she shows up to her interview in a purple bodysuit. No lie. So, sometimes you have to clarify, and I do this on the phone with my candidates is it's wear a suit or wear business professional attire, and that includes slacks, button down, dress shoes. Nowadays, a lot of times you don't need to wear a tie. I would know your audience, know the company that you're going to. If they're super casual, then I think slacks and a polo or button down would be fine. But know where you're going, find that out beforehand. So that way you're not overdressed or you're not underdressed, and, dress to impress.
Yeah. I love that story because you think, you know how to dress, you think, right? Just if you're when in doubt, blouse and pants, it's always a good one to go with. Ask your recruiter, ask HR what they
Right.
should wear.
Yeah. And that's a perfectly good question to ask.
And ask details too beyond the suit, right? Or
Hmm.
polo, like what does that mean?
Right.
Jeans, when they say jeans, make sure you know that it's holy or not holy jeans.
Never wear holy jeans unless you're going to church. Holy jeans. Yeah.
That was terrible. I love it. I love it.
All right. What's next?
Oh, okay. This one's obvious to me, but this has happened to me recently where a candidate has gotten rejected, meaning they did not get the job offer because in the interview they couldn't speak to their resume. So you have your resume, it's great, you worked on it, right? You send it in, you get that interview, and then the hiring manager asks you, "Oh, yeah, talk to me about, you know, bringing in, 125 million for this company or whatever statement you have." And you're just like, yeah, yeah, I did great, super. And but
Right.
you
What
have
did
to
you do?
elaborate on
Elaborate.
that.
Yes.
So if you have something on your resume, if you're going to put it on there, you better have a story to it. Like, please explain yourself.
No, this happens all the time. People will just list off technologies that maybe their company has used before, but they've never even touched it. So if you have never used SQL, but maybe your company like tried it once, don't put SQL on your resume,
Hmm.
because then they're going to ask you about SQL, and then they're going to find out that you don't have it. And then it's going to look like you lied on your resume, or, I mean, you're fabricating things that aren't true.
It looks bad on
Right.
everyone. On
Right.
everyone, it's not good. So, I mean, that makes sense to me, but again, it happens. So just make sure that you can speak to everything that you have on there.
Right. Next one. And this happens a lot. All these really happen a lot for real. Inappropriate language in an interview.
Again, I thought this was like normal. Like, I can't believe these happen.
I
So
think,
tell the story.
which one? I feel
I
like there's
know.
so many.
Well, the one where the guy was like F bombing, just like
Yeah.
in the interview saying
F
completely
bombs.
inappropriate. Like, you can say shit or damn if you like know the person in the interview, but I would still not say that stuff, right? Keep it professional,
Right.
make a good first impression.
Right. No, yeah. I had a candidate that, was throwing out F bomb after F bomb in an interview. And I mean, the interviewers are like, is this guy serious? And this is how he's going to be talking to his team members or clients? Like, no.
Yeah.
Tr-
So they like, didn't they stop the interview? They didn't even finish the interview. They're
yeah.
like, okay, great. Thanks.
Right. Thanks. We don't even want to hear anymore.
Right.
Talk in your interview like you would to a client or to a C-level executive, treat it professional. Obviously.
Yeah, I thought that was obvious. That's hilarious. Bad mouthing previous managers or companies or people or anybody.
Mm-mm. Don't do
This
it
happens all the time.
all the time.
Get in a positive space when you go to interview. Don't talk negative about people. Whenever you do that anyway, whether it's personal or professional, people are always going to say, well, gee, I wonder what that person says about me when I'm not around.
Hmm.
Just don't do it. It's not needed.
No. And they're going to ask you, why did you leave your previous company? Keep it light, keep it simple. Don't go into details on how you didn't like your boss or, certain instances on stuff that happened. Just it wasn't a good fit. I wanted a career where I could grow, keep it very general. You don't need to go into details in your interview.
Mm-hmm.
Poor preparation or you didn't do your research before an interview is bad planning on your part. That should be one of the first things you do whenever you're even applying to a company.
That reminds me, I need to call a candidate and tell them to make sure they research the company before they interview.
Yeah, go to their website, know who you're interviewing with, know their products, know about the company, know what you're getting into, because that may not even be a company that you want to work for, or they're going to ask you first question in your interview. So tell me why you want to work for NextPath.
Right.
Tell me what you've heard about NextPath. You want to be able to show up, be prepared, and like you did your research.
This happens all the time. In fact, it just happened this week. HR of one of my clients called me, really large corporation. They're like, can you tell your candidate, we like him, he's great, but he told me, oh, yeah, I didn't do too much research on the company. And she's like, please have him not say that. Have him do his research when he talks to the hiring manager because he's going to make us all look bad. Again, it's just not good.
No.
And again, you would think that you would do this, but we have to remind everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know that candidates get busy and they're applying for 5 different jobs.
Right.
But no, like whenever you're interviewing, if you had 3 interviews that day, who you're interviewing with right then.
Back to the organizational skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's the next one?
All right. Asking personal questions.
This story is hilarious.
So in your interview, don't get personal. Don't, talk too personal about yourself. Keep that for once you get to know them, once you get the job, and then don't ask personal questions about them.
So there's a story. This was an in-person interview. The guy was in the office it was 2 men, one was the hiring manager, one was the candidate interviewing. And I guess the guy was trying to make small talk or whatever. And he sees a picture of this woman right on the interviewer's desk. And he's like, oh, whoa, dude, is that your wife? Like, she's hot. Like, says it in the interview. And the hiring manager was completely like, I mean, I know the guy was like, well, thanks, dude. But in an interview, it was like
A little awkward.
off-putting.
Right. And I think it's okay to ask questions like, so why do you like it here? Ask them, like, show an interest. If you know they went to the same school as you or something that was on their LinkedIn that's like public knowledge, fair. But don't ask questions about, their hot wife or stuff that you may not know unless you were like prying information.
Man, I love some of these stories, though.
I know. They're great.
What's the next one? Number 9.
Turn your cell phone off. I mean, this happens all the time. And I think it's just because we forget or they're always on us all the time. But sometimes you leave your cell phone on and you can apologize, turn it off, but especially don't answer it. We've had candidates answer their phone during an interview or even switch lines on a phone interview. Like, can you hold on a second? Let me take this call. No, not okay.
I still can't believe that happens.
Like, don't.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Happens all the time. Don't even have your phone near you. Have it on airplane mode. Have it out of sight. Um, don't respond to a text message. Like, not okay. And don't have your phone out and have your phone keep dinging and buzzing and all that during an interview as well.
Yep, absolutely. Number 10, we left this for last because this is a gem. I feel like this is a little bit newer. I haven't seen obviously, because vaping is newer than
Right.
smoking cigarettes or something like that. But don't vape in an interview.
I
Like,
mean,
right?
come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
Okay. So
This
you're
actually
like,
happened.
it did. It actually happened. It was a video interview. So the candidate's like, no big deal. They can't smell anything. You can't really see anything, right? If you like put it outside of the scope, but they still like
They
did the
still did
vape.
it. Mhm.
They still saw it and like, what?
Yeah. It goes to show who you're interviewing with that you can't even go 30 minutes or an hour without vaping. So what are you going to do? Be sitting at your desk vaping?
With clients?
Yeah, with
I know.
clients. Like you're in a client meeting, you're just going to vape?
Then I think that person really needs to interview with like the vaping company. That would be great.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that,
Go interview for the vaping company.
yeah,
Good one.
right?
Hmm.
Hmm,
Be a perfect spokesperson.
exactly.
Well, those are just 10 of the things that are on the top of our list for interview blunders.
And again, these all really happened. We thought, hey, let's share these. Maybe that'll get through crystal clear and give you things to laugh at as well.
Yes. So don't do it. If you have more questions or any other real things that you've heard or seen before in an interview, let us know. We would love to hear about them. About them. Our email is liveboldandbossup@gmail.com.
Yeah. And until next time, guys, live bold and boss up.